Actually, 2 for 3.
Yeah, well, I gave Standing for Truth the link also. Yeah, I gave it to him. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
see.
Oh, sorry about that. Sam called me, so we were talking. Man, like
Good man or bad man?
I didn't think that he was going to like dodge. Like, I mean, I can't even call it a dodge.
Oh, I knew he was going to. I knew one of the things I wish I had
Wow.
hit upon that I actually had in my notes that I didn't hit was the Finch thing, because I actually had that written down in advance. His whole spiel about the Finches, which is actually cribbed from Jensen's work, is a complete misrepresentation of the data. Wow, big surprise, right? In Jensen's work, he looks at this one single group of inbred finches, which is called colloquially the big bird family, and they're homozygotic, or they're increasing towards homozygosity because they're inbred. There's not a lot of alleles in there to begin with, and they're just spreading them around. And so Jensen looks at this one group of finches and says, "Aha, we got it. Increasing homozygosity in one group of finches."
Oh my goodness. So yeah, if you did not catch that, it was like I think it was Rational Mind in our science literacy chat found out exactly where Standing was reading from. And I think was it during the rebuttal? I think it was during the rebuttal, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he was reading. That was the link I put in Discord.
Genesis link.
Yes, that's the link I put in Discord. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was reading verbatim from it, supposedly. Wow.
Wait, from an Answers in Genesis link?
Yes, sir. Let me see.
That's
if I can
hilarious. Of course, he can't even when he has a script, he's reading someone else's script. Good Lord.
Like, because I was listening to him, because it's like I pick up on people's speech cadences, and I was like, why is he speaking? Like, I can tell he's getting more and more anxious because he's trying to push out words faster. And then all of a sudden he slowed down. I was like, does it sound like he's reading to anyone? And the second I said that, I looked in the science literacy chat and Rational Mind says, oh, he's reading from this. I was like, ooh.
Good God. Of course he is. That's hilarious. I mean, of course, you saw I pre-wrote my opening statement and my rebuttal, of course, with the help of CRISPR and Rational Mind and Nestling. And I pre-wrote it, and so I read it, of course. But it's our work. It's original to us. Good Lord.
Yeah, I think the issue was that because he had read something and you were already reading something, just on the surface, it doesn't look good. Even though, and I understand why. Like, he's going to just parrot Jensen. Any critique that you have of Sanford, any critique you have of Sanford, you're going to have of him, because he's just parroting it, right? He didn't actually know any of this stuff.
Uh-oh, he dropped off.
Glad the ghost Christmas passed. There we go.
But he's right, yeah. Dragonaut's right. Sanford was just reading or Standing was reading from Sanford as well as Jensen. It's all the same tropes that he always throws in there. You're absolutely right.
And you could tell he was reading too.
I mean, so was I. I'm not going to throw any shade on him for reading.
Well, yeah, but he was reading a response, and
there it is.
That was fun.
Man, I love listening to him sweat as he was trying to answer my questions.
I noticed too he couldn't pass up the opportunity to put you down.
Oh, he tried, but it's like, come on now. If you're going to play geneticist, then let's talk about population genetics. If you're saying, and we were talking about this as this is going on, we're in the science literacy chat. Did he just say that haplogroups L, M, and N all like on the same level? It's like, no, L3 created M and N. So what is
which abstract is that from, if I may interject?
This is human gulo pseudogene evidence for evolutionary.
Bingo.
Yeah, that one.
He said it was a straw man when I pointed that out. Set. I was furious when he said that. A straw man, that I called him out on something he doesn't know. It's like, aside from the fact that I was right, that's not even a correct usage of the straw man fallacy.
Okay, so I got a text message from someone. Ask RJ or Jackson if Standing for Truth understands what peer-reviewed means.
No, of course not. He reads Answers in Genesis work and thinks, oh, these guys have degrees, and
Rock
they wrote
solid.
it, so it must be true. You know, he doesn't fact check anything, literally anything, which is why we called him.
I tried to get him to. If you saw my debate that I had with him a couple of weeks ago, or a month ago, maybe,
Something like that.
He was making the same shtick, bringing up Sanford, etc. And I said, "Oh, please put your sources up." He put his source base up. And I went through and analyzed every single one of them, and I can't get him to comment on it. He said, well, I didn't see anything. What was this? And so I would copy it again and put it up right in front of him. And I haven't gotten a reaction since.
Yeah, you're not going. So what? I don't know if did y'all see the interaction he had with scientist Sam and myself and a few others a few weeks ago?
Oh,
So
sorry.
he likes to mention the ENCODE project probably ad nauseum. I'm guessing with you guys as well.
Oh,
he
boy.
just did it in our debate. So,
Oh, he's never seen the data sets from them.
of course not. That would be actually reading the technical work, which he can't do.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
here's
I
the
love
thing.
that he has,
Yeah.
where he says, we are doing this research. No, he's copying we. He's not doing any of that. Jackson and I are doing our own primary source research when we're criticizing Sanford and that. We're not depending on anybody else. We sometimes will quote critics, but no, we're reading the primary source material, damn it. That's what the job is.
Yeah. His claim about the Linsky experiments, like, absurd. And the comment about paleogenomic data, like, I don't know if that's a lie. I don't know if it's of that stature to call it a lie, because I don't know if he knows what he's reading is false. But it's like, who the heck wrote that? Because what samples were they relying on for that? That's absolutely
I loved
absurd.
it when he bit on the reptile-mammal transition, tried to argue that there was some sort of out-of-place fossil somewhere in the reptile-mammal transition. I'd love to know what ass he was pulling that one out of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. He doesn't know anything about fossils though. Because he sideswiped the entire fossil issue with bones in the dirt. That was it. And he ignored everything I brought up regarding fossils. He disregarded pretty much the entirety of the whale sequence. The only thing he said about that was, terrestrial mammals don't have echolocation. And
Yeah, in fact, I think they've actually worked out the role of the Preston gene in echolocation systems in that, and it turns out to occur convergently in bats. That the same little toolkit gets used over and over again. And I really fumed when he tried to imply that convergence was ad hoc. Oh, no, 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 no. I read the papers where that's discussed. No, it's very meticulously documented because you can see how the particular convergence is based upon a specialized set of circumstances. It's not identical to the other form.
I absolutely agree. Yeah.
We got Doc Savage. Doc Savage says he engaged me on vaccines, then wanted to talk about cosmology as soon as he figured out I know shit.
Yeah, move the goalposts, leap to another subject matter. That's what you take. Jorge, Jackson was involved in this exchange on Twitter with Jorge Rodriguez, who is just a twit. and he hovers around intelligent design, but he's actually flays all over the place with creationists and all the rest. He's all over the map. But the point is, he would get a technical paper that he got from some anti-evolution source, and we would start trying to discuss it, and then he would realize that we're going to want to discuss it. So he would then bring up another one, and he would do this 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Along the way, we actually found a whole pile of wonderful technical literature that he inadvertently brought us onto. And it's you're thinking this is helping your argument any?
Oh, I gave up with that guy. I was after about the third rabbit hole he was pulling us down. I was like, no, you have failed 3 times so far. I am done.
I got another text message. Please point out that Darwin himself said that for those who think sharing an ancestor with chimp is gross, it's no grosser than the fact that we all came from jizz, aka pond scum.
Something else I guess I should have pointed out when the guy said what would disprove evolution, and I think what I said was okay, but I should have added irreducible complexity.
That theoretically, if you really could have something that was the equivalent of perpetual motion, something that the physics laws absolutely precludes, where you would have an actual biological system that under no circumstance can possibly develop by natural linkages. And of course, a lot of ideas think they found those examples, but boy, no, when you start looking at the details. So yeah, that would theoretically do it. Or, your Precambrian rabbit. That would be a problem. If there had never been a
Arthur, that's
reptile
just
mammal
bones in the
transition,
dirt, don't you know?
just bones. If you can't tell if they had babies.
Right, exactly. All it says is it died. It didn't come with a date label. You know.
Wouldn't evidence for creation be a good one? Because that's the one no one will bring to the table.
Yeah, they don't real work out what their model is, though. That's the other thing that I really want to make sure that more and more people call them out on, because although Standing sounded like they had a model, we know that it actually doesn't explain a great deal. It makes some predictions which turn out to be wrong, which means in the normal parlance, it's falsified. Thank you very much. Move on. But in the detail department, when you try to look at what the flood supposedly did and what animals were supposedly alive and which ones had been alive from the previous branch that died out in the flood, and then what happened to the ones that were on the ark afterwards, it is a chaos in the creationist literature to try to figure out what the hell they think happened.
And also, James, isn't their primary source just the Bible?
No, actually not. In a fundamental, I'll give them props. If you actually read through people like Andrew Snelling and Kurt Wise and all the rest, this is just knee deep in old geological papers. I mean, they are not quoting Corinthians and Judges here. Their motivation is biblical, but no, they actually don't rely on the Bible for their main arguments. They'll put a sop at the end where saying, oh, this confirms what we already knew from Genesis as it said so-and-so, so-and-so. But no, their arguments are trying to be sciencey. They fail miserably as soon as you start looking at them. So that's why their technical literature at the Research Journal of AIG, at the Institute for Creation Research, the stuff that they put up at the Baraminology papers, oh, they are a gold mine of bad method. But Bible quotes are not their main problem.
Yeah, well, it's just silly that, and that's the thing that annoys me most, is that they think that whenever they can shoot holes in the theory of evolution, that's going to do anything for their claim of there being a creation ex nihilo. It doesn't. I mean, even if evolution is overturned tomorrow, it still doesn't help them in any way.
Well, his whole genetic entropy model. Oh, go ahead, RJ.
In their either or model, that's the only alternative. Either it's young earth creationism or evolution. It's either God or fallible man. It's that bifurcation thing. So it's an either or model. You even get that to some extent in intelligence. They don't like vague shades of gray. That's why everybody, intelligent designers and young earth creationists, can't stand theistic evolutionists.
Well, they're just pulling over the precept either or. That seems to be where it's from. It's that if your view is proven wrong, then that means my view is automatically true, and that's the whole.
Heads I win, tails you lose.
All right, I just jumped in, but I guess Standing for Truth wants to come in, so I'm going to jump back out when I'm in. One thing I wanted to say though about his rusty car thing, with the whole rusty car, that would be fine if there was just a rusty car, but you have two people coming together. So if you brought two cars together, you could take parts from one car to rebuild the car to make it perfectly fine. That would just kill his whole.
Worse, you'd need to know that rusty cars breed, and and in the breeding process there are potential mutations involved, and the mutations can be inherited in the rusty cars. That's the whole flaw with the old paleo watch argument, because the moment you when you pick up a watch on the beach, that itself is the object of design. But the moment you allow the watches to replicate, so that now what you are talking about is some primordial watch that was created, and then you're watching the replicated versions of it, at that point, you got to talk about the historical watch production. You've got to talk about natural variation within watches. At that point, woo, you have lost the argument, because the evidence suggests that, no, it's all natural. Sorry.
Okay, so he's supposed to come in. So I do have a policy for those of you who are new to my channel. It's called Just a Tip. Since there's 9 of us and one of him, he gets speaking privileges, and I will silence folks and ask y'all to give him as much room as he needs.
We should give him the thick 6.
And not yet. So until he comes in, however, I want to replay some of his answers to the Q&A, which I think were the highlight of this whole thing. So let me make sure I have it queued up properly.
Can we get popcorn?
You should.
I have popcorn. That's what I'm eating right now.
If you have scotch, and if you have a helmet,
that may help.
Yeah, I think a helmet would definitely help. So here we go.
We have a pretty good mix now. So we had a number of people where we could kind of intersperse questions for Jackson into these questions for Standing for Truth. So Super Not Bad asks, ask Standing for Truth how young Earth creation deals with distant starlight in a young universe.
Jackson 4 looks like Super Not Bad gives me another tough question to answer. You can certainly go with the supernatural explanation. I mean, obviously God created a full-grown Adam, full-grown garden, full-grown mature Earth. If scientists were to come and do their blood tests on Adam, who say was created an hour before, you know what I mean, based on height or weight, they might conclude that he's old. Based on blood tests, cholesterol levels, they might conclude that he's young. So at the end of the day, looking at starlight, if God stretched out the heavens, as the Bible says, you can certainly go that route. I prefer to go the more scientific route. Dr. Humphrey's gravitational time dilation. You'd have to go through a lot of reading material to understand. It's kind of hard to go in a 1-minute answer, but if we assume the Earth is, say, at the center of mass in space, something in the center of mass will create a huge dent in space. Okay, now we would also have to assume that God used what's called a white hole to bring about the universe. Now, given the two scenarios, if you're following me, the Earth is in a huge gravitational well, and deep inside a gravitational well where time slows down. Okay, so here's the explanation. The deeper you get, the slower time gets to the point where time itself stops. Now, while the Earth is inside that well, God also created stars and galaxies inside that well. This is where it gets interesting. So the Earth, and I'm trying to put this into a nutshell. So the Earth and the stars are inside the well at the same time. And that well is a white hole, like I said earlier. But while God was putting stars and galaxies inside that well, it causes the original dent in space-time to increase further, sending the Earth down much further into that well, causing time to completely stop. I know it's kind of technical, but it does explain
the fuck is this?
Bruh, I almost pissed myself. This is the longest way I've ever heard anyone say magic.
Am I missing, like, I'll grant that, like, I haven't taken physics in, what, like 6 years now, but did this motherfucker invoke a white hole?
Yes.
White hole. Other than what, presumably G-Man wants to stick his penis into.
Yeah.
I do think they actually exist. I think they're distinct from white holes. They are kind of supermassive bodies, if I recall right. It's been ages since I've read into cosmology, though.
They're theoretical physics. They're not.
The big problem that the creationism has in this regard is they functionally, if you're an old fart like me that's been reading creationism for decades, you can see how it's evolved over time. That in the old style of creation with apparent age that Standing may or may not quite get the gist on, that's one where there are no real events involved. We're just seeing the starlight coming. The problem is what we're seeing in astronomy are events. You have supernovas in Andromeda Galaxy. This is worse than just creating Adam as an adult. It's creating him in a worn-out business suit with an expired library card in his wallet. There's just way too much things going on in there. So creation is pretty much abandoned that old branch of creation with apparent age, they have to have all of the events still happening, but somehow it all happens within a 6,000 year time frame. So now they have to get this weird thing where they're playing with the speed of light, which of course immediately screws up equal MC square, or they can deal with black holes or white holes or pixie dust or something or other. And so over the years, there's been this continual goalpost moving. Humphreys is just one of the examples of it, where these models don't last very long because the fellow creationists blow them to smithereens. They achieve problems. Lyle is going his own little direction. There's these little cottage industry of trying to figure out what's going on in there. So it's fun. I hope Standing will put his sources in the linkages so that we can all get to see them and then find out which one of the little goalpost movers he's following other than Humphreys.
I honestly tuned out for the entirety of the whenever Standing was talking, pretty much with the exception of one point, I pretty much just tuned him out. I was watching the live chat, seeing like what was going on in there. Were people saying, go Standing, go Jackson? I was all about that.
We have too many atheists in the room.
Did,
we were just ganging up on Standing.
About the only thing I did really hear him say that I'm like really listened to is when he said he accused me of straw manning him, which we talked about with the haplogroups, saying that, which didn't make any sense. But other than that, I pretty much just
Hey, Sokka, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, the Hangout got sniped. I don't know if you can get in the green chat and remove. Hey, Sokka, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Oh,
I can't get the green chat box. If you get the green chat box, and
let's see.
I forget the guy's name is Mountain Man or Minute Man or Marked Man. That's what it was, Marked Man.
Oh yeah, Marked Man.
Yeah, eject him. That's the one who, unless you can see who it was, but he's got a page or anything. But he's the one that sniped everybody. I don't know if you can add drag back in or anybody back in, but Sam says he can't get back in.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, Mark Man's been taken out, so
I don't know if you can add anybody back in through that chat.
Let's see here.